Hello to all the YouTubers. Week 5 NFL. It's your buddy Chopping On coming at you another episode of Chop Talk brought to you by the one, the only DFSArmy.com, your one-stop shop for all things DFS. We have PGA stuff that just came out. We've got NHL stuff kicking off. We've got NBA stuff coming. We've got obviously NFL and CFB and MMA and God, just throw 3 letters together, XYZ. We've got it covered. What you need to do is go down into the comments section, click the link, dfsarmy.com, become a VIP, gain access to all of what it is that we do. And I want you to click the or use the coupon code CHOP, CHOP, trigger a 10% off discount. We're going to try and blow through today as quickly as we can and go through the playables. Once again, when it comes to the DraftKings side of things, I'll tell you a couple of tips when it comes to DraftKings versus Fanduel. I like Fanduel better for a couple of reasons. But in an unbiased way, DraftKings favors receptions and traffic or opportunity over touchdowns, and FanDuel favors not to say that the touchdowns still aren't important on DraftKings, but they are of lower value because the receptions are of higher value. Over on FanDuel, we don't value the receptions quite as much. We're valuing the touchdowns a lot more. You're going to find you are one way or the other of a builder. I used to think I was a PPR guy, and I kind of am, but I do tend to do better on FanDuel, so I've gravitated most of my work over there. And what I've found is another couple of things. Number one, when I'm looking at FanDuel, I'm trying to pay up at quarterback most of the time. The reason why is because those are the guys that are the steady producers. It's like a starting pitcher. It's like a goalie in hockey. Which we'll try and get to hockey today too. It's just the safer, more secure version of points. I try to pay down as cheap as it makes sense to pay down, but I'm not trying to go all the way down as far as I can because I still want the guys in the good offenses that have their traffic. They don't get the 100-yard or the 3-point bonus for a 300-yard game like they do over on DraftKings. Which is why over on DraftKings, there's a barrier on FanDuel to wrap up the FanDuel thing. There's a barrier over on FanDuel of about $9,000. You don't want to pay over that. You want to be in the somewhere 7,500 to 9K range is okay for quarterbacks. Under that, it starts getting away from guys that can truly really do anything because they suck. You know, your Bortles, your whatever generally suck. Now, Bortles is probably a little different play. Joe Flacco can be a little bit different play. But generally speaking, your CJ Beathard's and whatever else, forget it. Trash. Don't even worry about it because you're going to take CJ Beathard over Tom Brady or over, Patrick Mahomes at this point. Come on. You're just shooting yourself in the foot. What I would rather do is use the DraftKings side to pay down on the quarterback. Why? Because of those 3-point bonuses for 300 yards passing, 100 yards receiving, or rushing. Those bonuses really help because when I pay down at quarterback, it's probably the first time you ever had this explained to you this way. But because when you pay down at quarterback, it frees up that salary to go up in running back, up in receiver, up in tight end, and get guys that can also hit those bonuses. And I'm leveraging that 3-point bonus across 2, 3, 4 extra players than if I paid up at quarterback. If I paid up at quarterback and Drew Brees hits it, great. 3 points. But if I paid down to, Flacco or, God forbid a Beathard, and he hits the 300-yard bonus because he had to play catch-up all damn day, then I trigger that 3-point bonus. But that $2,000 in salary savings afforded me a running back that can also hit the bonus, and a receiver that can also hit the bonus, and a tight end that can maybe hit the bonus. And so I might actually unlock an avalanche of 3, 6, 9, 12 additional points with upgrades in guys that also had those days. Generally speaking, a $3,200 wide receiver over on DraftKings is not going to hit the 100-yard bonus. He may hit 4 or 5 targets, 40, 50 yards. If he gets lucky and falls into the end zone, that's great. And he hits value at that dirt cheap price, which is perfect, and that's what you're looking for. But not very often do you back your way into the true ceiling performance where the guy also goes over 100 yards and unlocks that bonus. So you have to pay up to get the DeAndre Hopkins, Adam Thielens, those guys that are hitting those bonuses on the regular, because that is what allows you to scoop all those 3-point leverage bonuses. The 3, 6, 9, 12 points I was talking about is you pay down at quarterback and all of a sudden, wham, you might get an extra 10 points in bonuses. And that goes a long way on DraftKings that you can't do on FanDuel because, again, knowing the pricing and knowing the nuances of the sites is what helps you become a better player. The other thing I'll tell you about over on DraftKings and Fanduel. And the reason that I don't like DraftKings anymore as opposed to Fanduel is because of just the overall philosophy of what it forces me to do. The pricing is tighter on DraftKings, and I'm a puss. I mean, I'll just flat out admit it to you. I hike my skirt up with the best of them. I'm a puss. I don't want to be debating over a scrub at the end of my build. I don't want pricing to be so tight that I'm sitting there going, God, do I punt with Buck Allen or do I have to take CJ Beathard? I don't want to watch those games. I don't want to root for those players. That's no fun. You know, that just pisses me off because they're supposed to have bad games because they're cheap and they suck. So what am I trying to do? I'm rooting to get lucky. I can't stand that. I want to play where I have an edge, and that brings up a third tip I'll share with you, and then we'll move on. But when I'm looking at FanDuel, the pricing is softer there. I'm not debating. When I was just putting together a quick cash lineup for tonight, for the Thursday through Monday slate, I was looking at, do I want to take Jared Goff and Todd Gurley, or do I want to take Ben Roethlisberger and Gurley and Gordon, or do I want to take, go down at tight end in one spot as opposed to two or three, and then say, okay, now I can upgrade. And when I'm upgrading, I'm debating between Adam Thielen and Robert Woods. Those are much more entertaining debates to have when you're talking about guys that can truly break a slate, as opposed to on DraftKings guys when I'm just begging for somebody to hit value. It's a big difference to me psychologically, and so I just gravitate towards the other side. Sure, it makes me a puss. Sure, it makes me, more of a fair weather type fan. I don't give a crap. There's a million ways to skin a cat, and I'm better on one side than the other, and that's probably why. Know your strengths, play to your strengths, screw your weaknesses, and move on. When it comes to advantages and edges, I don't feel that when DraftKings led the charge with shortening those slates, this is the third tip, I don't feel that DraftKings did us experienced players a service. When you cram those slates down into 3, 4, 5 games, because that's what the DFS recreational player wants to do, is play those little bitty crapshoot slates because he's got such an itch that he scratches that he has to play every damn game, every damn slate, and the faster you can end a slate to get my money back in my account to turn around and I can dump it on the next games without thinking about them, with just wanting to watch games and get action because I'm a damn degenerate gambler. And you're making money off of that as DraftKings because all you want is to rinse the rake over and over and over and over again. And I'd do the same thing if I was DraftKings, don't get me wrong. But it's kind of scummy when you think about it. They're trying to find faster ways to get you to redeposit. And what they don't realize is they're cannibalizing their own fish pond because they're going to run out of money. People are going to get sick of it and they're going to give up. I hear the bitching all the time. I can't win. I can't beat this game. I can't beat. Well, stop playing stupid. Get some coaching, get some advice, go to DFS Army, get access to me and the other coaches, and let's help you. We'll help you stop redepositing so damned often, hopefully keep you around longer, turn you into a profitable player. The edge is in the bigger slates for the lower volatility sports. And lower volatility is a relative term. Basketball is the lowest volatile or high variance sport. But, in some of the massively variant, high volatile sports are baseball, hockey, those types of sports where punts can break the slate and studs can crap the bed. It doesn't happen as often in football. It certainly doesn't happen as often in basketball. So what we're looking at is on those higher or lower volatile slates, the more steady, more predictive sports, I want bigger slates. That's what I should be saying. I don't want the little bit. Now, in the baseballs and hockeys, I'll play 4-game slates all day long. Love them. Play them for tournaments. Because if I get lucky and get that guy, then I'm cashing everywhere that had the big game. But if and it's critical on those small slates to have that guy. Like last week over on a great big slate, like Thursday through Monday football slate, with Baltimore and the LA Rams, or Minnesota and the LA Rams, Thielen went off, Diggs went off, Gurley they all went off. I still won a 100-man league for $25, sitting on the Thursday through Monday slate, and I only had Adam Thielen. I had nobody else. Why? Because I had 15 other games practically to choose from to pick the best of the best out of there. So that game going off and the increased ownership in it did not really hurt me. Okay, I have an edge on those bigger slates still. And the reason why is because you have more choices to process and more areas in which you're going to fuck up. I want to be on slates where you have a higher chance of, for lack of a better word, fucking up. Because that plays into my advantage. That plays into me being better at processing the information than you. So that's where I live in NFL and NBA is on those bigger slates. Now in baseball, like I said, I go back to the smaller slates because anything can happen on those crazy slates because that's just the nature of the game. But I try to advise guys in the Army, play the smaller slates when you're new, expand to the bigger slates as you get more experience. Because it's hard to process that information correctly and try to split the hairs and find the best of the best plays. But as an experienced player, you want those big slates. And when DraftKings started going to those smaller and smaller and smaller slates, and of course, FanDuel, like a stupid lost little puppy dog, just followed them on over. They don't have any damn backbone either. They're pussies, probably more than I am. But what we're trying to get to is as those slates are shrinking, the volatility goes up inside the sport. The recreational guy has a better shot than usual. Therefore, I have a lower edge than usual, and it's frustrating. So I try to avoid those where I can. Okay, and that's why I don't like DraftKings. They led the charge. Screw them. I don't like picking up punts over studs anyway. I'd rather debate studs over on FanDuel, so screw them again. That's why I don't play a lot on DraftKings. But that said, really quickly, let's blow through the playables on DraftKings because we're looking for home favored quarterbacks. So we sort them by favorites. We go to the little thing here, go numbers less than 0, and we start cranking on these guys. We start looking for a little bit of price, and what I found by looking through these is Patrick Mahomes, oh my God. He's priced way down against Jacksonville, and I know he could have a bad game, and he's probably not exactly safe, but he's implied to score a ton of points. He's at home, and he's got weapons. He's got Tyreek Hill, Travis Kelce. Sammy Watkins might be missing, but that would put Chris Conley in that place, and Kareem Hunt can catch passes, even though they're not using him that way. Damn you, Andy Reid. They're not using him that way. So the point is, what we're trying to do is use somebody who encompasses the overall offense, and if they score 30 points, Patrick Mahomes got his numbers. Might not have been to Tyreek Hill. Might not have been to Travis Kelce, but he got his numbers. So that's a good thing. And when he's priced down so hard, he might have been priced down too much. And when I look at what he compares to, Drew Brees, I'd probably take Drew Brees on a Monday night. If I'm on the main slate and can't get Drew Brees, he's out. If I can't get the Thursday game, Brady's out. Mahomes, I'm not going to pay more for Roethlisberger. I'm not going to pay more for. I'm not going to. Sorry, the kids are getting home from school. I'm not going to pay more for Rivers. I don't know that I want to pay a lot more for Newton, even though he's in a great spot. Watson, I'm not going down under Dalton. Goff is more than Mahomes. Not going down to these guys. So, I mean, it just looks like Mahomes is kind of like the best option out there to me, which is very intriguing. The other guys that would be playable, of course, these guys on the other slates, if you want to pay up over Mahomes, Roethlisberger, of course, Newton, of course, maybe a Goff, come down here. And those are playable. But, I mean, value-wise, when you look at what you get for what you're paying for, I think you're just going to go to Mahomes almost every time. Running back, same thing. We want heavy favorites. We want high point totals. We want guys that are getting third down work, passing game work on DraftKings because we want those targets for our floor. And so we're looking at a Christian McCaffrey type. Great. Gurley, really expensive. Kamara has Ingram in the back of his head, so he's probably overpriced. Gordon, great. $800 savings off of Gurley. Yeah, sign me up. Kareem Hunt not being used in the passing game. James Connors, shit the bed the past 3 weeks. I don't even know that they're using him right now all that well with Ben in such a high volume throwing offense, and Ben is just throwing and throwing and throwing. And he feeds Connor a little bit, but as long as they don't go to some heavy run type situation, which I don't see them doing in Atlanta because Atlanta can keep up with them, then it just seems to me that it's another offensive passing type game. James White, good luck guessing between him and Sonny Michel. Breda, Mixon. If Mixon is in by himself, yes. If Gio is in by himself, yes. If they're both in together, no. Sonny Michel, I don't know. It's on the Thursday game anyway. Deion Lewis, no. Ingram, no, not yet. Eckler's intriguing because what I would do is I'd take an Eckler and a Gordon and pair them together and say, okay, screw you. I don't care how LA scores now. You know, passing game work for the running backs. I'm good to go. Probably throw Eckler in the flex. What I'm looking at here is 8-6 and 4-2. So what is that, 12-8? Look for under $13,000 in any of these other combos and tell me you like any of them better than what Eckler and Gordon can do together. They both got a high floor this week. They've both got, really, really high ceilings. If Gordon does all the rushing and Eckler catches 6 balls for 60 yards, he's fine. Buck Allen, not in comparison, not for more than Eckler. I don't know that I like any of these other guys, to be honest with you. Wide receivers, one of the things that you can do is you can look under 18 points on the team total. I already looked. There's nobody there worth a crap. Team total, you can go over 27 and look there. So if we go greater than, say, 26, just to get the 27s, I don't care where the line is, draw it at 25, 26, 27. Mathematically, there was something about the number 27 where it worked. Higher scoring games lead to more passing, obviously, which leads to more plays out of your guys. I mean, you're looking for main features. I don't care about home and away at this point, but I'm looking for main features that get red zone work and high targets. Thomas, yes. Allen, yes. Brown, yes. Jones, yes. Schuster, yes. Kupp, not so much, but he gets red zone work. He's more of a Fanduel play. AJ Green, not so much. Tyler Boyd, yes. At this price, hell yes. Cooks, sure. Woods, sure. Edelman, I don't know. Wait and see. Sanu, yeah, maybe if he's going to get the targets like he got last week. 4,000 is a great price for him. You don't need a touchdown out of him. He's a DraftKings play. Mike Williams, good spot. Ridley, overpriced. Does not get the traffic, is not getting the targets. Only 5 targets a game. I know he's doing damage with them. But that's eventually going to stop. And in a cash game scenario, that's a risk. You don't want to be left holding the bag when that happens. Ted Ginn, same situation. Chris Hogan, not yet. Tyrell Williams, good spot. He's dirt cheap on DraftKings. Don't know he's going to get the targets to justify. He's a low floor, but he's got a high ceiling. Don't know that I like any of these other guys in these high total games. But this is where I'd be focusing a lot of my attention. And maybe not quite Keenan Allen and the high-priced guys. I'd take Juju Schuster over Keenan Allen right now. Red zone work. Tight end matchups. Doesn't mean the other guys aren't on the radar. Your other higher volume guys in lesser scoring games doesn't mean that they're not on the radar. It just means those are the guys that I'm starting with. Those are the guys I'm trying to get all of them in my lineup first. Then I'll worry about the other guys. Tight ends, you want home, you want favored, you want high team totals. So I've got the favorites already sorted. I've got the team totals over 23, 24 points. Now I'm just going to go down here. Kelsey, yes. Ertz, yes. Gronk, yes. Jimmy Graham, probably. But Vance McDonald is getting more of the passing work than Jesse James right now. I think it's a very sneaky play. I would love to see Vance McDonald for $3,000 less than these other guys. That would afford me an awful lot of floor / ceiling in my running backs. It would get me maybe Gordon and not Eckler, get me Gordon and somebody else, Gio. Maybe if that breaks late in the week, it would get me some better stuff. I hate foregoing the floor that a Kelsey and Ertz bring me, but it's hard for me to get off of this price on DraftKings when I only need about 3 or 4 targets and he's been getting 5, and 20 yards. If he gets in the end zone, he automatically hits value. In one of the higher total games of the week, he's got a very, very high probability of having that happen. These guys are probably going to wind up being more. I'm not saying he's the chalk. I'm saying he's not going to be sneaky anymore. That's for sure in this game. And, defenses, what we look for is we just look for guys that are big spreads, better than 6 points if possible, and then we would sort team total by under 22. And hopefully I'd see under 20 or under 18. Not a lot of that this week, but I'd look for guys with a pass rush, a sack floor, if you will, and then I'd look for them to be cheap. If I can, but I'm not afraid to pay up for defenses because I'll show you something with the defenses. If I take these guys by salary and sort by descending, bring the highest price salaries to the top, 4,000. So what's another viable? What am I at? $2,000 difference, right? Roughly. Go back to the quarterbacks. And I've got 6,900. It's only $1,000 difference, so it's going to make me look like an idiot. Tight end for sure, there's a $3,000 difference. I'm looking at the difference between the highest and the lowest viable play. And when I see guys up here at 9,500 and I see a lower viable play like a Joe Mixon at 6,900, I'm at 2,500 bucks. So people think that it's just evil to pay up for defense and they hate doing it when really and truly they don't mind paying up at running back. I mean, you got to pay up and get that floor. if there is one. I know defense is a fluky position, just like tight end. Therefore, you don't really have much of a floor. It's pretty up and down, pretty unpredictable. But you can't argue that a high-priced defense doesn't have a better floor than a low-priced defense most of the time. So it's just another way to look at it. Let's jump over to the hockey research station. Let me show you that. We'll timestamp this at 20 minutes. We'll move over, spend a few minutes on the hockey, because what I like about hockey, and I'm not getting into numbers and stuff today because I want these numbers to normalize. What you're looking at right now is last year's numbers. And if I come down here, I've got a goalie tab that shows you a lot of last year's numbers. And it's pretty cool because it comes over here. Last 10 starts is what we're looking for. So give me about 10 games or so. Got projections in there. Now you've got your consistency rating on Fanduel and a consistency rating on DraftKings, where it shows the percentage of the time they fall in certain point ranges. That's a phenomenal number. It is absolutely awesome. Okay? And skaters, I've got all of this stuff lined up here for myself, where I've got the lines and the power plays, and I'm working on another sheet trying to bring it back from last year that worked really, really well, because what I'm trying to find, I like a number of shots and blocks. If you remember me from last year, shots per game, blocks per game, love it, because it gives me a hard floor. And then what I do is I take, like baseball, remember L7 WOBA? What I try and do is I try and take the last 10 games and compare it to the season to see who's running above their season numbers and who's running below. If he's running above, he's hot. If he's running below, he's cold. And I want the hot guys. So I would take this last 10 games and I would either sort shots per game like I've done here. No, I didn't do it. I did do it at once upon a time. Sort descending. And I'm going to run over here to points per game or shots per game. 4.9 above. 4.9 above. Atkinson is running hot. If this wasn't last year's numbers, this would be something I'd be talking about today. But 4.8 shots per game over 3.5 on the season tells me he's getting more activity than usual. He's getting open, he's pulling the trigger, he's on goal. Great. Go all the way down here to the 4.0 guys. And see, look at this. Dustin Biff, the Biff. More shots on goal to wrap up the season than he was getting all season long. That's a good sign. Okay? Now, you might want to factor some of this in. Hopefully, this doesn't have like injury. If he misses 8 games, it still counts. It counts those, not as games played. But it counts those, hopefully it doesn't count those stats. It shouldn't. But the other thing that I can do, I can use that very, very easily. I can use blocks per game the exact same. I can run over here and I can see, what is this Biff again? 4 shots per game, 1.5 blocks per game, 5.5 shots plus blocks at a point each, roughly. That's a pretty solid floor at 5 or 6. I can count on him getting me about 5 or 6 points tonight. And the more he shoots on goal, the more chances he's going to score a goal. And if he's up there on the power play and he's logging a bunch of ice time, the more chances he's going to get to grab some assists and maybe a goal. And that's going to help me out. If he's not shooting the puck at all, he's not going to score a lot of goals. So it's the crux of my system. And I'm trying to bring back the page last year that showed it all right there in front of us. But this is how you would use this sheet until we bring that other one back. I'd scroll over here too, because one of the neater parts about the research station this year, it's sortable. You saw how I sorted that column and brought it to the top. The other thing I can do, I can can all of like my 3rd and 4th line guys, I can get rid of them. I can go just on the top line, and then I can go just on the 2nd line. And then I can go looking down the power play, because you want people that are on top scoring lines and in the power play. That's just how you're going to have to look at this, okay? And I want them hopefully on the top power play unit if I can get them. And I like seeing them, let's say I take Boston. Boston's not going to be a good example because most of their top line guys were on the first power play unit. Toronto was a good example last night, but Toronto's not playing tonight. Let's scrunch on down here. Pittsburgh, maybe will do it. There, 2s and 1s. If I've got guys on the 2nd line like Evgeny Malkin that also is on the power play, then I can overlap him with a Sidney Crosby. I can overlap him with a Hornquist. I can overlap him, with a Letang. And I've got different scoring lines here, but I've got the same power play unit, which is what's going to create my floor. I don't mind necessarily where the goals come from in this game, because they're going to come from a line I have a guy on. If I've got a guy on the top line and a guy on the second line, and then they're both on the power play 1, that tells me that they will overlap on the ice sometimes, and they might pass to each other and score, and I can stack those points for, potentially. But in regular 4-on-4, 5-on-5, even strength hockey, I've got both scoring lines covered to where if a goal gets scored on that line. And the other way to do it in GPPs is to stack the whole line. You would run Crosby, Hornqvist, who's the other number 1 down here on the wing, Gensel. You'd run those 3 together. And then if the top line scores, you've probably got a goal and an assist at least, maybe both assists. But it's a little bit more of a GPP way, because if the second line does all the scoring tonight, you missed out on all the points with a third of your roster, and it screws you. Okay? So that's the idea. That's what we're going to be using hockey for. I just wanted to get you that little tidbit tonight before we kick off, because that's where we're looking as these numbers come in and normalize. We start getting these last 10 game numbers. These are very, very important. Because when we use the last 10 sample size and compare it to the season stat, we can see who's above and who's below, who's hot and who's cold, and we can get on the right players and get off the wrong players. Okay? Guys, once again, if you enjoy this information and you like this kind of help and you like this kind of coaching, you got to come inside. You got to ask us questions. You got to be in the NHL room, be in the NFL room, be in the NBA room, be in the PGA room, whatever room it is a sport you want to get better at, you got to come in. And the only way to do that is to become a VIP. Click the link in the comments section, coupon code CHOP, C-H-O-P. Knock off that 10%. While you're down there, hit the like and subscribe button. For me, share it on social media, whatever it is that you want to do. And let's become lifelong friends. Come into DFSArmy.com, hit me up. I'd love to talk to you about DFS in any shape or fashion that you want to play it, make you a better player. But you got to be a VIP to do it. Come inside. We'll talk to you soon. See you tomorrow.